Aliens sent a distress signal to the wrong species. DEATHWORLDERS came in the crystalline beings of Zereth. Prime had always prided themselves on their logical approach to everything. When their mining colony on the asteroid belt of Kepler 442 sent out the distress signal, they calculated the nearest civilized species and transmitted on the standard galactic council frequency. What they hadn't calculated was that their nearest civilized species database was 3 cycles out of date. Commander. Zathara watched the scanner with growing concern as the massive ship approached their crippled mining station. The vessel was unlike anything in their database's angler, aggressive, with what appeared to be weapons bristling along its hull. The hull itself seemed to be made of some crude metal alloy, scarred and pitted as if it had survived countless battles. "This doesn't match any known Federation vessel," reported Navigation Officer Quillett, his crystalline form flickering with nervous energy. "The ship's design is primitive, almost barbaric. Perhaps it's a cargo hauler that happened to pick up our signal," Zathara reasoned, though doubt crept into her harmonic voice. "Open a channel." The view screen flickered to life, revealing something that made every Zerathian on the bridge recoil in horror. The creature before them was made of flesh pink, scarred flesh with predatory eyes, set in a forward-facing skull configuration that screamed apex predator to every prey instinct the Zerathians possessed. "This is Captain Sarah Chun of the Use Indomitable," the creature spoke, its voice a guttural sound that somehow conveyed authority. "We received your distress signal. What's your situation?" Zathara's form flickered between blue and purple colors of confusion and fear. She had never heard of this UES designation, and the creature's appearance was deeply unsettling. Everything about it suggested violence, from its small, sharp teeth to the way its eyes seemed to track movement with predatory focus. We are experiencing critical system failures, Zathara managed. Our life support is failing, and we have wounded crew members. But perhaps you are not equipped to assist beings of our nature? The human for that's what Captain Chun was, though the Zerathians had no word for it yet smiled. It was meant to be reassuring, but to the crystalline beings, the display of white teeth looked like a threat display. "Ma'am, with respect, we didn't travel 15 light years just to leave you hanging," Chun replied. "My medical officer is prepping for xenobiology protocols as we speak. We'll have you sorted in no time." What the Zerathians didn't understand was that humans had encountered exactly 0 other sapient species before this moment. Chun was making it up as she went along, but 20 years of military service had taught her that confidence was half the battle. "Prepare the boarding pods," Chun ordered her crew. "Full hazmat protocols. We don't know what kind of atmosphere they breathe or if we're compatible." Within minutes, humans in bulky environmental suits were mag-locking to the Zerathian station. The first through the airlock was Dr. James Rodriguez, the ship's medical officer, carrying equipment that the Zerathians found impossibly crude yet somehow intimidating. "Jesus," Rodriguez muttered, staring at the crystalline beings through his helmet. "They're like living glass sculptures." The wounded Zerathians were suffering from something the universal translator struggled with: harmonic discord, which seemed to be their equivalent of pain. Their crystalline forms were cracked and dim, leaking some kind of luminous fluid. Rodriguez did what any good medic would do. He improvised. Using a combination of surgical gel, electromagnetic field generators from the ship's engineering bay, and pure human stubbornness, he began treating the wounded aliens. He had no idea if his methods would work, but he knew that doing something was better than doing nothing. Meanwhile, Chief Engineer Paulo Santos was tackling the life support systems with the same brute force ingenuity that had made humanity successful. Where the Zerathians saw impossibly complex harmonic resonance systems, Santos saw pumps, filters, and power distribution, the same basic principles that kept humans alive in space, just wrapped in fancier packaging. "Your primary circulation pump is shot," Santos announced, somehow communicating through a combination of broken universal translator output and enthusiastic gesturing. "But I can jury-rig a replacement using parts from our shuttle." The Zarathians watched in amazement as these crude, flesh-based beings tore into their sophisticated systems with what could only be described as organized violence. Yet somehow, impossibly, it was working. The station's life support began to stabilize, the lighting grew stronger, and the wounded began to recover. How? Zethra asked Dr. Rodriguez as he finished treating the last patient. Our own medical technology couldn't achieve this level of success, yet you barely understand our physiology. Rodriguez shrugged a gesture lost on the crystalline beings. Sometimes you just have to try things and see what works. We might not understand the theory, but we understand problem solving. As the humans prepared to leave, having stabilized, the station and jury-rigged temporary repairs, Zethar finally worked up the courage to ask the question that had been bothering her. What manner of beings are you? From what world do you come? Captain Chun paused at the airlock. We're humans, from a planet called Earth. Third rock from a yellow star, about 15 light years from here. Zethar accessed her databases, searching for any information about this Earth. What she found made her crystalline form pulse with alarm. The planet was classified in their oldest databases as a Class 12 death world, a category reserved for planets, so hostile that the Galactic Council had deemed them incapable of producing sapient life. Your world... Isar began, her voice harmonics wavering with disbelief. It's classified as uninhabitable. Deadly radiation from your star, crushing gravity, toxic atmospheric composition, extreme weather patterns. Chun laughed another sound that made the Zarathians nervous. Yeah, Earth can be a bit rough around the edges, but it's home. As the human ship departed, Zethra began composing her report to the Galactic Council. She would need to inform them that one of their most fundamental assumptions, that death worlds couldn't produce intelligent life, was catastrophically wrong. More importantly, she would need to tell them that there was now a species in the galaxy that viewed Class 12 death worlds as home sweet home, and they had just proven themselves capable of solving problems through a combination of impossible stubbornness and creative violence. The Zarathians had called for help from the nearest civilized species. Instead, they had accidentally contacted the galaxy's newest apex predators. And somehow, that had turned out to be exactly what they needed. The universe, Zethar reflected, had a strange sense of humor.